Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the day of the video diary. How's it going today? Today, we're heading off to work in 5 minutes. I thought I'd talk to you now instead of driving to work in the car. I'll talk to you on the way back in the car, but otherwise I'll just talk to you now, because to be quite frank, like, yesterday's video dragged, because I just talked to you in the car, because I can't always start and stop it, whereas when I'm talking to you on the way back, I'm usually sat in traffic. So I'll be able to cut the camera a lot better, essentially. So I'm going to talk to you now. Right, so yeah, just done my washing up. I got up at a normal time. I feel like I'm sleeping weird, because I sleep for a normal amount of time, but I just seem to just be an absolute lock. Like normally I wake up at like 6, and I hear my alarm, and then I think otherwise. But I'm literally just going straight to 1:15, and like, boof, now I'm awake. And it's weird. I feel like I'm just in some really like deep, not really all that helpful kind of sleep, which is kind of annoying. Also, it's very sunny outside, hence me not talking to you on the way to work, because yesterday I was just all blown out on it because it was all over my shoulder, taking my sunglasses. But yeah, otherwise, apparently it's snowing in Sheffield, according to the radio, which seems crazy to me. Although, to be fair, it's not actually that warm here. It is kind of cold. Not snow cold, but it's still kind of cold. I'm going to get my hoodie. Coat? No, there's no point taking a coat because I just live in the office, don't I? And then get back in my car. So, but yeah, that's basically it. Yesterday, when I finished talking to you, I sorted out my to-do list for today, which I've also been doing this morning. And I started doing some writing stuff that I need to get done. I'm trying to increase the productivity as much as possible. Of late, there is going to be a main channel video this weekend. There is going to be a blog post this weekend. There's going to be a load of photos getting uploaded to my Facebook page this weekend. There's going to be a lot of things, basically. I'm starting work on some development stuff. I'm implementing tonight my Git server on my Pi again. I'm having another go. I'm having another bash. And you've got low battery as well, so I'm just going to change your battery over. Vlogging and driving kills your battery. I say that, I've just put my battery in my wallet. Right, okay, time to rock and roll then. Jamie lies. Jamie always lies. I'm back home, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't spoken to you since I left. Mainly because I didn't set up my tripod. I need to do my washing up, actually. It's probably cold now. I had manoeuvred car cam into a different position, and I hadn't quite nailed it on the way home. I should have really done it before I set off. And I just got to the point where I'm like, I can't do this and stay in this queue, because like, you know, you just slowly creeping forward every now and again, and I like kept fiddling to sort of, I know I'm just pause to it, I'll talk to you when I get home. And since then, time has teleported by, and I've already, I said I've had already for a while now, it's nearly 8 o'clock, but I have changed my bedclothes. I've also put my washing in the wash. I've also had my dinner, sorted out my sandwiches for tomorrow, and I'm just sitting down to do some stuff. But otherwise, what's going on today? I tell you what, on the way into work, I noticed that my plaster was getting redder and redder and redder. When this has been fine. Literally, I cut it on Sunday. It bled a bit, put plaster on it, didn't bleed. Yeah? Went through the entirety of... Did I do it on the... Yeah, must have been Monday. Went through the entirety of Monday with a plaster on my finger. Not an issue. Went through Tuesday morning, this morning. Went through the old rigmarole of like having a shower and all that kind of stuff with my plaster still on my finger, and then in the car it just started to bleed again. It's like somehow I managed to open the cut even though I still had a plaster on, and I got to work, took it off, the plaster off, to change it for another plaster, and it was literally dripping in. It was mad. I'm like, how the hell is there this much blood? God damn it. So I had to go and friggin' wash that and then put another plaster on, and so now I've got plaster number 2 on, which is annoying. But I've done it in a way now where, well, I tried to do it in a way. The plasters I took to work were too big. But I can almost type with that finger. The first time I did it on Sunday, I did it in a way that made it next to impossible to type, because like it had folded over on the edge and it was just big enough to hit like 2 keys at once, which wasn't great. But so you always adjust to life, don't you, with just like less than, just naturally keeping this finger out of the way and using everything else. What else went on though? This morning. Oh my god. Today at work. That's where we are. We were working on not an awful lot today. I've been kind of looking for things to do. I've been looking into our 2 different sets of deployment scripts. I've been either attempting to run automated tests off of. Whenever we do a deployment, we want to automatically queue the automated test, which is complicated because we're an entire new, different solution, which is a pain in the arse. So we can't quite figure out how to do that. And this is a running theme for the day, really. So yeah, we tried that. Didn't work because I'm being blocked by the fact that to do it, we're going to need to work closely with my boss in order to make sure he doesn't ruin his scripts, and he's not back for another 2 weeks. I'm parked in this car parking space. But then, what else? I also looked into a way of making sure that we had automatic transforms running off of the deployments, so that we have different transforms. So for things like when you work in several different environments, you would have a developer's environment where you would save all of the files that the program produces on your own computer, so you could look at them in dev mode. When it's deployed onto a box, you won't want it to save it onto your machine, because your machine might not be off, and not everyone can look at those machines. So we want it to change onto this other box, but that means that when you deploy, there's like a little file, an app config, or a web config, where you can change this kind of stuff. But the problem is, if you change your app config, or web config, to look at your local drive and then check that in, that then gets built and deployed, and then the big box, the big environment, so to speak, is pointing at your box, which is an error and means everyone else is falling over and they can't figure out what they're doing. So I've been looking into a way of getting transforms. There's easy ways of doing transforms for web configs, because web configs are what am I talking about? I just got a weird email. I've literally completely forgotten what I was talking about now. Looking into a way of getting the app configs to transform. There's an easy way of doing the web configs. It's built into the Microsoft deployment scripts. Getting them to work on app configs is a completely different matter, because it doesn't even take the transform folders with it, and deployment, it doesn't even do. There's loads of things it just doesn't do, and I was looking into clever ways of doing, I don't know, some kind of fart tool, which is a find and replace tool. But it's just not that. It's not as simple as copying, just changing it. It does stuff. Transforms do things, and I was looking into ways of doing it, and all of the ways of doing it involved installing things onto the machine, which could in fact break everything that everything else uses, and I don't really want to do that while the boss is on holiday. Henceforth, I had to wait for my boss to come back and do it. So it was a bit of a dead day, to be honest with you. I haven't really done an entire lot at work, but since then I came home and I've had a super fast evening. I had pizza for dinner, which was delicious, and I also had the rest of my baguette. I'm feeling pretty podged. I've done all my washing. That's currently in the washer, being washed, and it means it won't drag over. I always feel guilty when it stays on too late, but because I had pizza and stuff, I just kind of friggin' threw something in as quick as possible. It sounds like a space rocket at night when it's doing its final spins and what have you. But yeah, that's that, ladies and gentlemen. That's that. Otherwise, though, I am now sitting down to do some work. I'm going to drop my computer down to one monitor. I have video editing stuff on this machine here, and I'm going to be sorting out my server down here, Alfie, little old Alfie down there, because he is going to be acting as a local Git server, which I need to get sorted out pretty sharpish. But yeah, that is the plan now, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm doing with my life this evening. It's a party in the park. I need to get my glasses, because if I don't get my glasses, I'm not going to do any of what I've just said. Put your feet up, boys. That one's rendering the gamma correction. That one is installing Raspbian. It's not my birthday anymore. Is anyone from Cornwall or Plymouth? Is that actually a thing, or is someone from work just having me on? They just talk too fast, you don't know what they're saying, and they'll just be like, and you've got no idea. No? Maybe it's a terrible impression I'm doing, or maybe they just genuinely do that. I don't know. It's not my birthday. Right, here we are. I've been rendering and editing away. It's taken me. I've had to do quite a bit of rendering because I've had to do some gamma correction and stuff, because I shot at too fast a frame rate and it was too bright, and too wide an ISO, aperture and all that kind of crap as well. Too low. So it was too bright. I had to change the camera settings. But I'm currently doing config stuff over there, editing stuff over there, and my washing's just done, so I'm about to get that out. But we've just got a load of crap through the post. Right, I'm going to have a rant again about politics. So we just had this leaflet through the door from the Labour person from around this area, and there is nothing on this leaflet that says what they will do. all it says is that they will do their best to keep Tory out. That's essentially what this election is, isn't it? It's like, if you don't like them, vote for any of these guys. There's no one's like going, look, you don't want them because of this, because of a legitimate reason, or vote for us because we'll do this. It's like, vote for us because we're not them. It's such a childish thing. It's really annoying, because why? It says Lib Dem and Labour are apparently pretty close in the polls in this area. But voting Lib Dem won't keep out the Tories. It's not guaranteed to keep out the Tories. Whereas voting Labour is. Why should I vote you? Just because, maybe the Lib Dems are better than you. Maybe they just have a better thing. There is not a single thing here that says anything about policies or anything like that. It's madness. It's absolute madness. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to hang up my washing. Happy days on the old... all up to dry. I also opened that up for some reason. Right, back to base then. Setting up my server on this side, editing on this side, including like the odd googling or what have you, and also I have my Nexus playing music through my speaker there. This is where everything falls down now, because I've got to end the video in order to render my daily vlog. Not end the video, end editing, because I've got to end the video. It's a chain rebooting and stuff. Does anyone know any like good ways of handling remote Git servers? Because like the GitHub thing, it doesn't seem like, is there a nice pretty way of doing it in a nice user interface that doesn't involve having to go to the command line to do things all the time? Because I'm hoping, it looks like I might have to go to the command line a lot, and I'm hoping that isn't the case. So yeah, anyway, otherwise, I've had a productive evening. I've been doing stuff. This has been, to be honest with you, just been doing quite a lot of updating. It's just been friggin' chugging away for the past like however long. I think I was a bit more modest with my overclocking. The idea is that server just stays as like a Git repository server, and it'll act as like an offline utility server. So in theory, that is not accessible to the outside world. But when I get my web server, that will be, and then that will then, yeah, Alfie is connected only to my local area network, so it'll only be accessible within the range of my Wi-Fi, in theory. And then my web server will act like a completely different layer, so it'll just do a web server, and the ways that it communicates across will be set very like strictly through programs that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be getting a Raspberry Pi 2, and I'm going to host Windows 10 on it, and I'm going to be hosting a Windows server, and then I can run ASP and Windows services applications and stuff like that. ASP, because PHP is just not built for that. The things that I don't want to do PHP. Quite frankly, let's cut the shit and just get down to it. I don't want to do PHP. Although there are MVC framework, I might look into it. But if I'm looking at... No, I'm not going to look into it. I've changed my mind already. I was almost thinking it. I'm sticking in the Windows world. It's nicer. It's nice. It's pretty. It's easier to set up. It's easier to manage on a me level. I can do the other stuff. I can program the other stuff. It's setting up the ops stuff. Whereas Windows, it's very easier. You can debug it easier. It's just easier. And I prefer it. So it's quite a bit more powerful as well, to be fair. But yeah, so that server will stay, and it will act as my share. People don't know what GitHub is. It's like a version control server. So it'll sit and it will take all the code I do, and it will go, okay, well you did that code at this time, that code at this time, and merge them together and stuff like that if it's differences. Although there's only one user, so there won't really be that many mergers. But it will save a history of all of the things I've changed, much better than something like Google Drive would do. But then also there will be things like my database will sit on that server, so that it's not hosted on a machine that's accessible to the web. My other stuff. If there's other services that need to be run but don't need internet access, they can go onto there, and then they'll just act as like a daisy chain between the two. That's the plan anyway. But most importantly, first and foremost, I'm we need to set up the Git server as part of it. But I need to sort out my videos, so I'm going to have to close Premiere. Might come back to you in a bit, mate, when I've finished rendering out my daily vlog. But I'm going to have to sort you out, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on tomorrow? Tomorrow we have less time to play with after work because I'm having pie and chips for dinner, although it doesn't take too long to cook, and I don't have to do things like wash. But otherwise, I don't know what's happening at work. To be honest with you, no idea. Probably another pretty slow day. It's a pretty slow week this week, annoyingly. But it's alright, because it's only 2 more days. It's Thursday tomorrow, but it's Friday for me. Every day's Friday. But yeah, otherwise, I don't know. Don't really know what's going on. Int world. I'm just chugging along, trying to get stuff sorted. Trying to get productive again. You know? Video editing, writing blogs, writing video ideas to film this weekend. Ooh, I'll catch you later.